there's been so much buzz around the Warriors. There's been so much buzz for media day. Who's going to start? Draymond Green injury, just all kinds of talk about the Warriors. So it's been a while since we've had you on. It's only right that we dig into that with you, my friend. So let's hear what Andrew Wiggins and Stephen Curry, some comments from them so far from media day.
Sure.
I don't think it was Jordan's fault for the, lack of us, the team being, connected. I feel like it was a bunch of things. And, part of it, I wasn't there for a long time. And I would like to think that I'm, one of the key parts to the team, defensively, offensively, just, helping the team out everywhere I can. So hopefully this year everyone can, stay healthy, everyone can be on the same page and we can have a hell of a year.
There's going to be some give and take, and it's still early to really kind of predict what it looks like, but in terms of when we're out there together on the court, I know how to play off the ball. I've done it plenty of times. We have certain sets that can highlight what we all do well, and then there's going to be times when he's on the floor by himself and we can cater the offense to what he's traditionally used to doing. But I know he's been very adamant and intentional about figuring out the patterns and the ways that we create shots and create offense, not kind of that motion offense, and being a threat there too.
Zena, so that was Stephen Curry talking about Chris Paul. I'm just dying and can't wait to hear what you spoke to Stephen Curry about, because I saw you posted on Instagram and Twitter all your pics of the different people that you talked to. So I'm just waiting to hear. But, was maybe you can't even reveal to us, but like this sentiment that Steph echoed, is that what you're getting generally from the team? It seems like they're all in on Chris Paul.
Oh, yeah. I had a chance to talk to Steph, talk to Draymond, talk to Chris, talk to Andrew as well. And everyone, it just seems like all of the chatter and the concern around this team is external. They're not concerned about how he's going to fit in. They're actually really excited to have someone that is a champion mindset, right? They kept talking about his basketball IQ. They kept talking about his competitiveness, his competitive nature, and why that makes sense within what they do. Everything that they've done so far to get to know each other, chopping it up, et cetera, has had this element of, we just trying to win, right? We're just trying to win. I asked them about, you're trying to get your 5th ring. He's trying to get his 1st ring. What does that look like, et cetera? And they're like, just make sure that that's not 2 different paths, right? We're all on the same path, and he's going to help us just as much as we can, quote, help him, as other people are saying. But it was very clear from everyone I talked to that no one is concerned about this as much as maybe the fans are around personalities and things of that sort. The thing that I'm really, really excited about when I think about the Warriors and I think about what they're about to do was right after media day, the next day, The Athletic was posted some video. You saw video from their practice working on what Steph was talking about, that motion offense, right? Particularly, you could call it in basketball, the pistol action or the 2-1 action, basically the work between the 1 and the 2 to get the offense set up on one side of the ball. This is the Warriors' bread and butter, right? This is their meat of their offense, is being able to let Steph create however he wants from that inbound pass, from that dribble in pass, from the dribble handoff. Whatever he does from one side of the ball, he can do whatever. Now, that is great for being able to create whatever it is, but what Chris is talking about, like trying to get that offense down, is trying to understand how many different ways you can create.
Yeah,
because in that 1-2, there's so much you can do when you think about Steph Curry coming off, and then Chris Paul, one of the best ball handlers, one of the best point guards in the history of the NBA, being able to come off with that ball, right? And then Draymond being the center, the forward, facilitating action at the free throw line. I mean, they can do so much deadly things in that one side of the court. Meanwhile, you got Andrew, you got Clay on the other end. So NBA teams are going to be very, very scared, I think, about the potential of what that combination can look like on that side of the floor and then creating the motion from that. So media day was fun. everybody was like, you guys are stressed. We're not stressed. We're good.
Right. I'm glad you talked about that because I feel like there's been so much, what their defense and what is it going to look like? And Chris Paul plays this way. And I'm just like, can we talk about though what some of the huge upside potential is in this? Because all these concerns you guys have, I love how people talk about teams and act like there's a perfect team, that no team has weaknesses, right? Like, even if you just think about the trade that happened with Milwaukee and Dame, and, they shot up to like the top in the standings, their defense is going to change. It's going to weaken with Dame, right? So every team has its pros and its cons, right? And it's like, okay, great. You've told us all the things that could potentially go wrong with Golden State, which I don't even pay attention to because I think a lot of that's from people who actually don't understand the team. But what about all the things that can go well? And I think you did a great job in describing it. Listen, I'm not overly concerned about some very smart basketball minds figuring out how to work together on the court. That is the least of my concern. My only concern is getting all of them to the postseason healthy and available to play. And that's real. That's a real valid concern. But the other thing is Chris Paul buying into a bench role, right? And I mean, to me, it's like the unspoken thing that no one wants to say explicitly, but I just feel like it's been alluded to. He said the right things at Media Day, talking about coming off the bench, in the Olympics. But there's just also, like Steph, there was like more in that presser that we didn't show it, but that he said like, look, there's going to be some tough questions about, that we have to address about the lineup and, all those things. So I feel like everyone's just sort of dancing around the surface, and perhaps the Draymond injury gave them a little bit more cushion to deal with it. But like, to me, I don't think people are understanding how devastating it will be with Chris Paul elevating the play of Jonathan Kuminga, running pick and roll with Jonathan Kuminga, having Dario, and I mean, Steph spoke to Dario's fit. And that's why I don't think people realize just how much deeper this Warriors team is, which is why even if they didn't want to start Chris Paul once the regular season comes, they could start Dario at the 4. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many options for this team with their depth. And so, I mean, I just think the growth of that bench unit being able to score, the what do we do in the non-Steph minutes, and Chris Paul's ability to elevate players, Zena. I just think that is going to be such a huge difference maker that people are not thinking. When you think of teams like the Denver Nuggets, their bench was such a key piece to them winning. When you think about when Toronto won the championship some years ago against the Warriors, their bench was so key to that. Sometimes it's a top-heavy team, which the Warriors have been before, but Steph Curry is Steph Curry, but with maybe some of his co-stars not at the top, having a very strong, solid bench will be so instrumental. And I think that Chris Paul has the ability to help them do that.
I would argue the Lakers also had their bench help them significantly last year even.
Yeah.
And I want to say two things that I think you'll be particularly happy about. I asked Jonathan Kuminga, what have you been working on this summer? And he said, everything. And he was very confident in that answer. So I was like, let me make sure I tell Nat that, because I know you're going to be very happy about that. He seems like he's really excited about what's going to happen around for him and his game this season. Another thing I'll say to your point about, the biggest concerns, what really felt very apparent at Media Day was that everyone was bought in, right? And when you talk to, not personally me, but what I've heard from people around the team that have talked to Chris Paul, he's excited about the Warriors. Like, just in general, he loves the organization. He loves what they're doing there. He's very, very pumped about it. And so I think that helps. When you're bought into an organization and you feel like you're being treated well and that you're in a good position and you're in a good, clear headspace and you don't have to worry about politics and all these other things, and you're just focused on being able to play good basketball, I think that also helps you buy in a different way. And to your point about the bench, yes, depth was what the Warriors were missing, size as well, but depth particularly. And when you think about the people they picked up in this offseason, the fact that, one of the rookies, Tracy, making some really, really big strides apparently so far, and he's going to make a name for himself, I think, in training camp as well. the Warriors have now given themselves that depth that they had back in 2022. So I'm very, very excited. I'm trying to tell y'all, don't sleep on them. Don't sleep on them.
The last thing I'll say just before we go, because we do got to get to some other things, is that I just think that Andrew Wiggins missing so much of the season is such an underrated thing that people overlook.
Ooh, facts.
So that's why I loved what he said in the beginning. He only played a total of 37 games, Zena, 37 games on the season. I don't think people realize when Andrew started last season, look at the numbers that he was putting out in the first 22 games, Zena. Wow. 45% from three, 51% from the field overall. He was balling. Now, he did come back. We know he was a little slow coming back off the injury. Then he had a family issue and he missed most of the season. And so they didn't get him back till the playoffs. And I just think that goes so over and looked as part of what contributed to just the Warriors being wonky last year. So I'm looking forward to this. I really am. And I'm so glad Andrew said what he said.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.